listening to the Startup Scale Up Show, a podcast that inspires entrepreneurs to create meaningful businesses and pursue their passions. My name is Demi Samande and I am a furniture manufacturer, best known for documenting my move to Lagos, Nigeria for hopes of business opportunities. And I'm sitting down with entrepreneurs from across the continent to talk about their process, the lessons they have learned, and how to make real impact. Welcome to Susu. My guest today is Patricia Ojora, a lawyer turned entrepreneur, the CEO of Promo Print Ventures Ltd. She holds a law degree from Queen Mary University of London, going further on to attend the Nigerian Law School. Patricia is a veteran scholar of the first class of the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Women Programme at the Pan-African University. Patricia follows the fail forward ethos, as 3 of her earlier ventures into entrepreneurship failed. Every disappointment was a stepping stone to enlarging Promo Print's ambit. The factory carries out full tailoring, screen printing, embroidery, graphic concept, manufacturing and production within Lagos, Nigeria. School and corporate uniforms, embossing, engraving and other branding methods are all done in-house. Patricia is an avid supporter of women's rights in the workplace. She is also a founding member of the Livestream charity and supports the local youth with various internships and training programs to teach new skills and income generation. She's on the board of Alliance for Africa, a UK-based human rights NGO, a trustee of Gallant Grace Foundation, which hopes to impact on the lives of young girls with their dreams and ambitions. Patricia is the Vice President, alumni of the Entrepreneur Development Centre, EDC, of Pan-African University, Lagos. Patricia, thank you so much for coming on Susu.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for indulging me on my request and actually sitting down with me today. So having watched your video, I told myself I'm going to meet this woman one day. So I basically manifested this interview, Patricia, I must say, and it's absolute pleasure having you. So let's kind of just go back a little bit and just sort of paint me the picture of your childhood. What were those key moments that you felt really contributed to you starting and embarking on that entrepreneur's sort of journey?
Interesting. Thinking back, I was always quite a little silent child, actually, because when I think about it, I mean, my older brothers are 10 and 12 years older than me. So I would sit there and I would plan and I would think, and I was always an adventurous child, quiet but adventurous, and a watcher. And all of those things are very good when it comes to being an entrepreneur, because I can sit back and I can watch whatever I'm doing and what others are doing around me, and I can change things around. So basically, I come from a family of doctors. I'm the only non-doctor in my family because I wasn't very good at science anyway. So, and funny enough, I still run the hospital because my parents have passed on now. So I run the hospital, even though all my brothers are doctors.
Working within the hospital as well?
No. None of them are here. I'm the only one left in Nigeria.
Oh, wow.
So basically, I did law, and it's a good base for anything. But even as a kid, honestly, when I knew nothing about anything, I was still dabbling in things left, right, and center. I would buy shares. I knew nothing about buying shares, but I would buy shares. I would always try my luck at things. So I was brave. I was ready to try things. I was ready to just and the biggest thing I always say this, my parents did for me was allowing us, myself and my brothers, to make our own decisions. So whether it was what religion we wanted to be, because they were very forward thinking, to what schools we went to, we were the ones that had where we lived when we were abroad. We had to make our own decisions, and they would give us our money for about 3 months. And how you used your money was up to you. If you wanted to live in a big place or a small place, or if you wanted to eat or not eat, everything was left up to you.
Within your budget.
Within your budget. So you were given your budget for 3 months, and that enabled me to manage money. That enabled me to strategize. And when I think about that, those were the building blocks for everything that I do now.
So where did you grow up?
I grew up in Benin, went to school in Nigeria till I was 14, and then went abroad, did A-levels abroad, did my uni in Queen Mary, did law, and then came back to law school.
Okay, so you came back to Nigeria what age?
You can't calculate my age now. I think I was about 22.
Oh, okay. So you were still very much, not far off from when you were investing or buying stocks and shares and things like that. So between 19 and 22, you now decided to come back to Nigeria. Yes. What made you come back?
I was in love.
Ooh, isn't that the story we all like to tell?
So I came back
to
but I
Nigeria.
always wanted to come back anyway. It's not like now where unfortunately a lot of kids don't want to come back, and I think Nigeria was good. You know, things worked and everything, so I still am an avid believer in Nigeria. I don't think I'm ever going to go anywhere. I'm not going to Canada soon. I'm here, and so I'm invested here, so I'm going to make sure it works.
Oh, fantastic. So we're having a conversation today because I know this is actually a very special month, isn't it? It's a special month. You know, tell the audience, what does this month signify for you?
Well, this year and this month and everything is 20 years of printing in 2020.
Wow.
So for me, it's a big deal because who would have thought? I mean, when I started this because of I shall tell you how I started it. Shall I tell you now?
Well, yes, I really want us to delve into the story, that 20 years, you know, we're at the 20-year point now.
Yes.
But it didn't happen overnight. There's a whole heap of experience that's been encapsulated in that 20 years. And I really want us to just delve into it not all of it, because it's a lot, but I do want us to sort of touch on it, you know, how, how you got into printing in the first place. What was it that happened? What was the sort of, you know, events surrounding that idea, how the idea came about? You know, how did you get to that point where like, okay, this is what I want to do? And had you even started anything in business before that?
Oh, definitely. Okay, so when I came back, I started a few ventures, I call them, and they all failed. I did party favors. I don't even go to parties, so I have no idea what I was doing there. You need to be able to network. So that didn't work. I did food. I eat food, but that's about my only interest in food. So that didn't work as well. I did transport. I had cars that would go around, and that failed. And then, in fact, I have 4 businesses that failed. Then I had the Great Escape with my sister-in-law, which was in Mega Plaza, and it was like a games arcade kind of business. And that did very well and failed because of fraud.
Oh, wow.
From staff and everything. And in every way or every step forward that I took, now that I look back, I wasn't prepared. I didn't know enough about the business, and I went into it and just like, let me enter, Sha. You know, you enter, and then without preparation and without a lot of discipline, which is why I always advise youngsters now. I said, work in a structured environment for about 2-3 years. Don't just come out of school and immediately become an entrepreneur, because it's the kind of discipline you need. We may not have it without going through a proper training. So they all failed, and I lost everything. The money I had was from friends and family. Basically, my dad at that point had lost everything. And I went back home and sat down in a corner and thought about my life. And then I started a charity with 4 friends called the Life Stream. And during that time, we were doing charity walks to send kids with hole in the heart problems to Israel. And our part was to find the transport money. So we were doing walks, we were doing all sorts of events, and I was chosen. My part of the brief was to do T-shirts. So I would go to Ikoton, which is quite far, and I would prepare these T-shirts. And because it was so far away, I'd sit with the boys, you know, that kind of thing. I'd learn everything that they were doing. And then when that factory started to close, well, I jump over. When I came back to Livestream and brought the T-shirts, everybody was like, oh, I like these T-shirts. Can you help me do some? Can you do for my company? Can you do for my business? Yada, yada. And that's how I started. But then I had worked with those other guys so much that when their factory was closing, one of them said to me, can you give me 100,000 naira, which was in those days a lot of money. And I'll buy my own machine, and my own machine I'll produce for you. And that's how I'll pay you off. Now, this is another point in entrepreneurship. I could at that point have bought that machine for myself, but I didn't have the expertise, and I'd learned my lesson by this point. You don't just take on things because you can. Take them on because you can do it, and it's going to be effective. So I bought his machine, and Mr. Mustafa, he's still my darling till today, honestly. And he has a big factory in Otta, and we're still friends. So basically, he bought his machine, paid me off within, because I was giving him a lot of jobs. And that was how we started. And then by that time, when I was ready to buy my own machines, he also helped me. So in this business, to me, it's all about collaboration, cooperation, and just helping each other. I think that way, we just move forward so much faster.
It's really fascinating that you say that. I was having a conversation. I wasn't even having a conversation. I came across a thread on Instagram just a while ago. I think just a few days ago or so, by one of my favorite Nigerian speakers. Her name is Ojora Mbelu.
Yeah.
And just a shout out to Andora if you're watching this, by the way. She's a phenomenal speaker, and I think an absolute gift as well to our generation and our time where Nigeria is really evolving. And she said that starting a business for just the sake of starting is not enough.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of people are at that point where they're starting businesses. They don't necessarily know why. They're doing it because everybody else seems to be doing it. Yes. They're doing it because they believe that is basically what is trending at the moment. Start your own business because, well, the government can't save you, so start something, doesn't matter why. And she was of the opinion that you need to understand why you're doing what it is you're doing. I, on the other hand, this is why I said I was having a conversation, because I'm of the opinion sometimes that we don't know all the time. Not all of us know why we start what we start. Not all of us really fully understand our motivation for starting businesses. But I think there's a lot of power in just starting. Now, I want to ask you, with all the businesses that you started up to this point, and all the businesses in the past that have failed, would you take any of them back? Would you go back and say, I shouldn't have started those businesses, and I would, if I had the opportunity to do it again, I would not start those businesses?
Definitely, I wouldn't have started those businesses. I have no interest in those fields. So I think, but I love the fact that I failed. I love it. I shout it. I scream it, because without failure, how do you know when you succeed? You can't have everything good all the time. You have to know what you don't want to know what you want. So for me,
that's powerful.
Very. And you have to know your why. So what is my why? My why, then I didn't know what I was doing. I was just like, just want to make some money.
Yes.
Whatever. But
isn't that how it always starts with everybody? It's the money motivation, isn't it?
And it doesn't really work. It doesn't really work. So now my motivation is, what is my why? My why is that I have accepted my lot in life, which is to be a production person in Nigeria. Now it's taken me years.
Would you have gotten there hadn't you experienced all the failure in the past, do you think?
No, I wouldn't, because I'd be in, la la land, thinking everything's hunky-dory. It's not. But I think even now, I'm telling you that to be a production person in Nigeria is a whole different ballgame.
Absolutely.
And for years, I fought against it, meaning that I would, I'm going to do retail. I'm going to have a store here. I'm going to do this. I did so many different things involved in the same business. Mm-hmm. But now, what is my love? My love is production. My love is seeing something that comes from nothing to something.
Oh my God, I just got a glimpse. I just saw myself in you. I always say that.
Really?
That's my biggest passion. Creating something out of nothing. Absolutely.
Yeah, and when you think about it, I mean, I don't want to get all biblical and everything, but we must emulate what we are. God made us in his own what's the word now? How he's supposed to be, right? And we too must create in our own way. In his own image is the word I'm looking for. You see things like that happen. But anyway, in his own image. And what I'm saying is that, like when I go downstairs to production floors are on the top floor, on the ground floor of this building. And when I go there, my blood is buzzing. All I want to hear is the machines.
They sound so good.
Yeah, the sound is different. So if you're not a production person, you'll hate it. I hate being in this office. I hate sitting here doing paperwork. Nobody wants, I don't want to do that. I want to be able to be there and see something. Mm-hmm. So for me, my love is production here, especially in Nigeria, where it's so hard to do, where everything is stacked against you, and where people feel that you cannot do a good quality job. So those are my pet peeves. Why can't we do a good quality job?
There's that why again.
Yeah, that why. Yes, I'm very curious. Mm-hmm. I mean, Steve Jobs, I remember, said, "Stay curious or stay hungry." he said, stay hungry. And, not hungry as in not eating, but hungry for knowledge and hungry for improvement. So I don't benchmark myself with anybody else but myself. When people say, who are your biggest competitors? I know you're supposed to do all this stuff about, your SWOT analysis. I've done that, but basically on myself.
Yeah.
I don't really think about what others are doing. I just know that I want to know what's going on outside the country. And so whenever I travel, I will always go for trainings. So I have people all over the world who are now part of the Promo Print experience. And, they help me. There's new things are coming out. Hey, Patricia, look, this is what's happening here. Have you seen this? Have you seen that?
So you guys are always engaging with each other and just
definitely.
carrying each other along. That's really, really amazing.
That's abroad. And here we're really moving forward with that now. Because if everybody's a silo, we're not going to be able to move forward. So I find I was telling you earlier before we started the interview about how my competitors are now my collaborators, basically. So basically, if I know that something doesn't work, or this particular T-shirt will not work for a particular print, why do I have to? There's no need to reinvent the wheel. I can tell others, and the same way they can tell me. So actually, I find that a lot of them, we're very close now. We'll say, oh, no, don't bother trying that. That doesn't work. Or let's do this. Or, you know what, I'm going to buy this, but, I need a minimum quantity. So do you guys want to come in? That kind of stuff.
Yes.
Or if we get a trainer, okay, I'm bringing in a trainer. Do you want to share in the cost or whatever it may be? And we all learn, because that way we all improve. And if Nigeria...
And the industry grows.
The industry grows.
And then if the industry is growing, then more people are likely to want to, patronize local businesses and not necessarily always looking outwards.
Yes.
For those solutions to the problems that we have within. So I think that's really, really key. And I also feel that, I think for your ability, your ability to sort of carry people along with you, having all that experience, to not carry people along with you would be a real shame, wouldn't it?
Oh, totally.
And it works both ways. As you are teaching them what you have learned, they're equally giving you some insight to innovation that might be going on all around the world.
Definitely. And the push. So just before this, I have a machine that I bought and I haven't used for a while. I mean, I haven't even set it up. And, one of my competitors, she sent me a message just now, why is your machine not working? And I've asked you, and, that kind of thing. So they push me as well as I push them. And when they can't achieve something, because we're very good here with tones, which is like a half that, basically you can print people's faces very clearly. So a lot of people can't do that. So they will come and say, can you help me with the tones? And I'll even do like images for them and send to them and whatever, because I just believe that, first of all, the sky is big enough for all of us. And the more Nigeria improves on the kind of quality that we can give, then the less we have to keep on bringing things from abroad. I mean, they don't have two heads there. Why do they have to, and I've been there. I've seen the kind of machines that they have. In China in particular, they don't have some of the machines that we have here. So why do we have to limit ourselves and say, oh, let's bring it in from China? So my biggest love is when people say, oh, I prefer your stuff to what's brought in. Yes, yeah.
Oh, that must feel real good.
That feels really, really good. And sorry, I want to go back to that live stream thing, because I think that because of the way it started, that's Promo Print was actually birthed on a good concept. But I want to talk about Dr. Cohen, who was the doctor who started that. And because there's that's a great story, by the way. Yeah, it's great because, and I want to say it because people always say, oh, it's just me, I can't make a difference. Anybody can make a difference. So what he would do, he was going to different countries in Africa and identifying kids with hole in the hearts, and he would treat them himself. He would do the surgeries himself, and his friends would do anesthesia and aftercare. So let's just educate people on who Dr. Cohen is. Yeah, Dr. Cohen was an Israeli doctor, and he did cardio repairs on, he was a cardiologist and a cardiology surgeon, and he was doing all these repairs. So he would come to Africa and he would go to different, in Nigeria, he would go to UCH and he would identify kids with heart conditions. And hole in the heart is a thing that can be fixed pretty quickly once you have the surgery, and the kid can survive and have a normal life. So we did about 44, before he died. 44 kids before he died. And to know that And basically, he died because he came to Africa. He fell ill. He fell ill in Tanzania and died.
Oh, wow.
The point I'm making is that once Dr. Cohen died, the whole thing collapsed because his friends refused to. They said we had to pay for all the surgeries and the anesthesia and the stay in the hospital.
But how was he funding this stuff, though?
No, it wasn't. He wasn't funding.
Okay, so he was a doctor, but you guys were predominantly raising...
No, we were just raising transport costs.
Okay.
To get them to Israel. Once they got to Israel, they were taken care of.
By whom?
By everybody because of Dr. Cohen's influence. Now, the point I want to emphasize on this is that one person can make a difference. So he made such a difference. And once he was gone, that whole thing collapsed. So I think that all in our little spheres of influence, whatever it may be, if we can just make that effort to shine that light, whatever your light is, your light could be, I don't know, my light is production. My light is the work ethic in Nigeria. I really hate the fact that people want to be lazy and all I want to hear is I want to hammer and blow. First and foremost, hammer and blow involves...
That's a world pandemic, by the way. That's not just... And I hear a lot of stories about this. Everyone's like, Nigerians don't want to necessarily work. I think we have a youth culture that people want a faster process. Nobody really wants to invest 20 years to learn a skill because they've seen somebody on Instagram just blow overnight without fully understanding that person's story and not really understanding that for every one you see, there are multi-millions who have not had that same story.
Yes. Exactly. So you know what? That hammer and blow, it involves effort.
But I've got to respect them to some degree as well. Is there why? It's like, why should I invest 20 years in something I can do in 5?
No, I'm not saying about the time. I'm talking about the effort.
The sticking power. Ojora, the sticking power.
Yeah.
The staying power, the grit. Absolutely.
Yeah, the grit is what you need. I mean, I think you could throw me for the 3rd floor and it still land on my feet. I mean, that's how I feel. I feel like
that comes with experience as well, though, doesn't it, Patricia?
It does come with experience.
Yes.
I mean, the other day was kind of funny because they know that I can match them at any point. So I have the respect of my staff. I respect them wholeheartedly because they're great guys. I mean, honestly, you ought to see our Christmas parties. I mean, like we're dancing all night and all that kind of stuff. But the point is, but they also know that when it's work, and I'm not playing. So you're going to do it exactly how we're supposed to do it. And I say, if you can do better, then please show me how to do better. But if you can't do better, then please follow the processes and the routines that we have set up. So in fact, one of them called me, it was a holiday or something, and they thanked me for being the Jagaban of promo print. I said, okay, that's a new one. I've been called many things before, but not that. So anyway, yeah. So we strive to continue. So here I mentioned to you about as people failed me along the path of, I would set up another department. So that's why right now we backward integrated and have from tailoring, where we do all our uniforms and T-shirts and everything else, to embroidery, to screen prints, to laser engraving, to proper laser printing, to flex flock, everything.
You're doing quite a good number of skills in-house. And then we're going to go down, and I want to show the people the setup of the factory because it's nice. And before we do that, you're the first manufacturer on Susu.
Ooh.
You are the first official. Not only are you the first, you're a woman.
Yeah.
So that's a double hoo-hoo.
Hoo-hoo.
Her. So I think it's absolutely fantastic. And I think we definitely should show this setup because you guys are doing phenomenal work downstairs. Now, with your machinery, as a fellow manufacturer, this is PC, but we get turned on by machines.
Yes.
We get turned on by machines because it's the heartbeat of what we do, and it is what allows us to continuously keep pushing on our level of excellence in what we're doing.
Yes,
because we rely on it, not just after people, it's the machines. Very, very, very important. So when you are sort of building your catalog of machines over the years, like you mentioned that a lot of innovation and a lot of growth that you guys have had has been on the back of people disappointing you or certain things you've experienced in the past that hasn't allowed you to sort of come up on top, but then you've had to obviously then try to do it yourself.
Yes.
And the business has grown as a result of that. building your machines over these years, what's been your biggest struggle? Because I know these machines are not locally made.
No, we've tried locally made as well. We'll try everything. We fabricate, but my advice to everyone is buy the best that you can.
Not China. Are we mocking? Are we saying not China?
No. Not going there. But buy the best you can afford. Let's put it that way. Because even in China, they have American spec machines. So just don't do that whole thing of going down the route of give me the cheapest machine that you have, because that's what you'll get. You know, you'll get something that won't last. So I have machines here who have lasted for 8, 9, 10 years. And obviously maintenance culture is very important. I don't play around with maintenance.
This is going to lead me to my next question, because, you know, going downstairs, I'm looking at your guys and they look very competent. I was, you know, my PA and I were just talking today. We're like, these guys look really organized. They really look like they know what they're doing.
They do.
They really, not only do they look it, they really do know what they're doing. And those machines don't necessarily look that easy necessarily. So at least to me, I'm a furniture manufacturer. I'm not a printer. So I'm looking at them operating the machines and I'm thinking, oh, okay, so they've got to sort of they've got to treat these machines with a little TLC and take care of them.
It's interesting you say that. When I think we're the only ones that have an automatic printing carousel right now in Nigeria. I'm not aware of anybody else that does have. And so this has tripled actually our production. And all it needs is the human contact is just to load the machines. Otherwise, everything is printed. But when the trainer came from the States to set her up, and her name is Ajike, by the way. We gave her a name.
She said, set her up.
Set her up. It's a her. And her name is Ajike. So, and basically the person that looks after her is Daddy Ajike, right? Because
you told me this story in our last conversations and I couldn't stop laughing. Yeah. I was just walking around the factory thinking, sounds hilarious.
You have to make her human. You have to make her human. So also, no, people are not intimidated by her. But you know what? And so, in fact, yesterday they had put her they put her cover outside, and somebody said to the other, why did you put Asho Ajike out here? You know what I mean? So they love her as well. But the point I'm trying to make is that the trainer said to us, I said, what kind of person should run her? And they said, somebody who's kind to machines. And I said, what does that mean? And he said, because if a machine is supposed to go da-da, and you hear da, somebody that will listen and will care. So basically, Daddy Ajike right now is a very caring person, and he's an actual engineer. So I've stolen him from his profession. And what I do is that I will find who will fit into the right places here. And sometimes you'll be shocked at who you can get. So basically, I have a guy here with me who we went to the beach for some kind of retreat, office retreat, and I took my Scrabble with me. And he says, I was going to play with a friend because she was supposed to come. And he says, oh, madam, let's play. Oh. He almost beat me. And meanwhile, at that point, he was a packager.
Wow.
So he's head of tailoring now in that, because what we've also learned along the line, you learn as you fail, as I say. We used to have tailors that were in charge of tailoring until we found that they never had time to actually see what was actually going on because they were so involved. So he actually is in charge of tailoring now, because you need to be one step back. When you're one step back, you can see. When we are surrounded, you know, I always imagine, I say you have to be like an eagle, not a sheep. If you're an eagle, you're flying above, and then you can see what is below you. But if you're one of the sheep around, there's no way you can see above the next sheep. Yes. So these are the kind of things that you need to step back and be able to look. And Nigeria doesn't really let you do that because of all the things that are going on.
Because we're constantly in survival mode, aren't we?
Yeah, firefighting. We're constantly firefighting. So we're trying to have so many processes and so many things that, you know, I'm prepared for any one thing that can possibly happen. This is Nigeria. There will always be K-legs. So what do you do?
Oh, that K-leg thing is really worrying.
No, plan ahead and be ready for any single thing that's going to come along your path. So it works.
The grit and sticking power.
The grit and sticking power is, I mean, I have to praise myself on that one. I give myself a pat on the back. I have grit. Nothing can get me down.
I knew you had grit when I first watched that video. I watched that video 3 years ago and I said, this woman has grit.
No, I have grit. I give myself that because honestly, there are days where things are so bad. You know, anytime production problems are not small problems. They are problems that can cripple you. you know, and that's why I'm very careful to not try and get into them. So like with Ajike now, if you're not watching her every second, she can print like 100 shirts that are wrong. You know, so you have to be prepared. You have to be ready at every one point you're watching. So we do Lean Six Sigma, which is, you know, and waste management and everything. Because in Nigeria, we don't realize that the biggest waste we have is time. We think that as long as we finish the job, it's okay. No. If you're supposed to finish the job within 3 hours, stick to 3 hours. If you do 3 hours, 10 minutes, you failed. And if you do 3 hours, 10 minutes, you must have a reason. Don't just say...
There should have been a lesson that would have been taken from that time wasted that you can carry on into ensuring that you're more time efficient in the next attempt.
Exactly. From the beginning of your job, you should be able to say, okay, you're doing chairs. You should be able to know that I can do, I don't know nothing about furniture production.
It's not very different. It's, you know, it's again, time management. And
well, if you're making a particular type of chair, let's just call it a Chamberlain chair or whatever, you should know that, okay, this is going to take you 6 hours to produce this chair, let's say. So if your customer comes and says, okay, they want 30 chairs and they want it in 3 days, from the beginning, you should know that you cannot achieve it.
It's a no from me.
Yeah.
It's a no for me.
Yeah.
And I've had those moments, and you'd have to be very, very upfront. And I think, like you said, time management in Nigeria is not the best. I think we're getting better. I think the more informed, the more educated that we become, the more sort of, I think the more we just improve in general. And I think we have more integrity now. We're learning how to have integrity, because now you can't just hide and be like, well, you know, because people are coming up every day. Competitors are coming up every day. If you're not willing to do, somebody else is willing to do it. But at the same time, that integrity, when you're being honest that I can't accomplish this in 3 hours, it's a ridiculous type of timeline. And then saying I can when you know full well you cannot is you've already failed on that front, I believe. And I think in such a sensitive market, it's not the wisest thing to do. So I'm not afraid to say no to certain jobs, because I know I can't achieve it. And then I think some customers are forgiving and others are not.
I personally hold truth. Truth is the one that I love out of all my words of my ethical words. Truth. If you cannot do it, say you can't do it. But for me, my strength also is in having plan B, C. In fact, my B, C goes all the way to Z, I'm sure, because the way I will look at it is, okay, if they want it in 3 days, number one, I'm going to tell them I cannot, can this deadline be moved? Yes, no. What's the next step? Can I outsource certain parts of the thing to be able to meet up? Number three, would I do night? Do overtime to be able to achieve it? Can I change the style a bit? There's always ways.
There's definitely ways, yeah.
And once you communicate with your customer, which a lot of us as entrepreneurs don't do, we just do whatever we want to do as opposed to doing what the customer wants. We have to value the customer more.
Or carry them along. Communication is very key.
It's key. It's key with your staff and within the company, and between the company and your customer. You know, I think for a country that talks so much, you know, we're great talkers in Nigeria. We don't like to talk about the actual truth or the actual specifics of doing something.
Lord. Let's not get into it because it definitely is a struggle for me. I think, like you said, we do talk. People talk a lot, but we don't necessarily talk about what we should be talking about.
Yes.
We're not hitting the nail on the head a lot of the time.
Yes.
There's a lot of
specific.
We're not specific.
Yeah.
Yes. I say to somebody, where are you? I'm on my way.
I'm coming.
Where are you? I am on the way. Where are you? I'm almost there. That's what I asked you.
Yeah.
I think with specification, we need to be more specific in our questions and our answers, and definitely ask more why.
Yeah.
You know, if something goes wrong, especially in production, you know, something goes wrong with a machine. Okay, it's going to cost X amount to fix it. Okay, but what caused it? It happens. No, what caused it? Oh no, it's wear and tear. No, it's not wear and tear. Even with wear and tear, there's a cause and reaction for everything, right? So what is causing the problem? Because once you identify what's causing the problem, you're more likely to eradicate it happening again.
And you would have warning signs. You would have warning signs that would alert you to the fact that something's about to go wrong. So those are all the kind of things that we need to teach. And if we can, all of us, No, I mean, I really have a lot of belief in Nigeria. Sometimes, yeah, I lie down and I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, I cannot take one more day. But then on the other hand, that's what we are. We're Nigerians. We get up and we keep going. So I think that's, if we can teach those around us and those around us can teach other people. I mean, my best time is when old staff come around. And they come around and they always say, oh my goodness, now where I am, I too am teaching other people.
Yes.
That makes me happy because
Very.
at least, you know, there's some kind of impact that is going around. So that's important. But going back to production, you know, they say you make money at two things. Things that people don't know how to do. So I don't know, maybe people don't know how to do about, I don't know, electric cars or something. So if you came in with electric cars, okay, fine. And things that people don't want to do, right? And that's us, production people. Nobody wants to do production in Nigeria because yes, it's a pain. Yes, it's a hassle. But if you find people who love it and who it's in their lifeblood to do it,
Yes,
I think that we can succeed.
We definitely need to. And what you said about Nigerians, I'm a big advocate for Nigeria and Nigerians, and I do believe that, as difficult as it is, and we can talk about the problems all day long. I have a whole list myself. I see glimpses of the magic every single day, even in the people who are not necessarily asking why.
Yeah.
Because with all the chaos, we still get things done. Mm-hmm. With all the madness. And I know that if, you know, growing up in England, if I were to try that type of chaos in England, we wouldn't. The system wouldn't necessarily survive it. It would just crumble.
Yeah.
Because people cannot function with that amount of chaos going on around them. So you can just imagine how much more we can achieve if we just put a few things in order that are supposed to work when they're supposed to work. And the people just realize that, you know what, we have every single thing that we possibly need to turn things around. We have all the talent. If we just put a few little things in place, things will be amazing. Because for me, I always say to friends when they ask me, you know, why did you come to Nigeria? I like it. I like the chaos. I strive in the chaos.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I'm still trying to figure out. Maybe ask me 20 years from now. Maybe I can tell you. But I just find that there's a certain magic here that I'm still trying to explore.
There's a vibrancy. There's a vibrancy. You know, I unfortunately, I compare it to like extreme sports. the adrenaline of being in Nigeria, you know, it's just, you know, every day you feel alive. Maybe a bit too alive, but you know, you do feel alive. So Nigeria is great. And this is what we have, right? So we were born here, or this is our place. You know, let's try and make the best of it, regardless of what we see around us. Because if you keep watching what you see around us, of course, you're not going to move. But people are doing great stuff here.
This is why it's so important to share the stories and to encapsulate those stories, because we don't know all the people who are doing. We know things are happening. We see glimpses here and there, but I think it will be, you know, it'll be more effective when we hone in on those stories and try and grab them, so that people are more aware that it's not just about booking a ticket and trying to fly as far away from this place as possible. You know, the grass isn't greener on the other side. You're going to go somewhere else, and you're going to find that he has his own set of problems. And Nigeria is not the only place in the world that is suffering. If anything, I think COVID has actually taught me that we're not that bad.
And I tell you what, I mean, for us, I found that during times of recession, or even in this COVID, we've actually grown. So the thing is, I mean, I don't want to use the famous word pivot again, because I'm bored of that word. But the thing is, opportunities always come in a quagmire state. So it's for you to sit back. And that's why I keep on talking about this sitting back and being able to watch and be able to see the opportunities that are available. So for us, we were out of work only for 1 week. And then as essential services, we started to do masks, we started to do scrubs, we started
to
do patient robes. And we have, to God be the glory, we have work 24/7. So all my staff are working. We are not, they are happy because they realize, they see their people around them, that everybody else, or a lot of people are losing jobs.
Yes.
And yet we're still able to work and still be able to move forward. Same thing with the last recession, where so many things happened. You know, everybody became an entrepreneur. So everybody was doing a t-shirt line. And so basically we had And it changed our whole setup, because before maybe we had about 30 companies that were doing massive amounts of T-shirts, but now we ended up with about 150 clients. But yeah, smaller lines of jobs. But the point is that we still were working. So with that, and the kind of machines we have different kinds of machines. So we don't have MOQs, minimum order quantities, because of the kind of machines that we have. We have Ajike that can do 100,000 in 2 or 3 weeks, and we have machines that can do one shirt for your kid's birthday. So that way, I'm ready for anything
Quite
that's
flexible,
coming.
which is fantastic.
Which is totally against what you would find in any other. Like I always say to my business consultants, we always have punch-ups, because they will say, "Oh, this doesn't happen." I said, "This is Nigeria. Everything that you think should not happen, it happens."
That's what I said. That's that magic. There's
It's
that
the
magic. Yes.
It's the magic. So yeah, I want to, my focus now is to try and work more efficiently. I feel I'm quite efficient, but that's my aim, to keep on improving on the efficiency, because I work hard, but I want to work smarter. So that we can, because it is a stressful environment. And I think that in Nigeria, it's quite hostile. Nigeria's hostile in many ways, but okay, fine. Let's take that as a given. And okay, what else can we do to make our lives easier? If you run your business properly, you shouldn't really be as stressed as you can be in the workplace.
That leads me to another question. The agenda that everybody who starts a business is, we want to always build it. At least I believe anybody who starts a business wants to build a business with longevity. They want to build a business that will outlive them. That's the famous word we say, isn't it? I want a business that I could pass down to my children and my children's children and their children. But it's not easy to achieve that. Especially in this type of environment where we're just trying to survive, because survival is the order of the day in Nigeria, because there's so much chaos going on that we can't even move. A lot of the time we can't move beyond just survival. So even thinking about generations to come can be quite a difficult thing to do in this environment. So what are some of the things that you are doing with Premier Print that is sort of, and I'm assuming, because I know about Patricia, and I know how your journey has gone over the period of time, that you want a business for longevity. But what are some of the things, the actual steps you're taking to ensure that the business can outlive you when you decide that you no longer can, or by God's grace you pass on to the other side, that it survives?
Well, very early on, I think after going to Lagos Business School, I learned a lot of lessons that this is not, it's not a handbag business. It's a big business that I can actually grow into something even bigger. So I did a lot of corporate governance. All my papers are in order. I do my audits. I pay my taxes. My children, as with most women, when you start a business, your children are everywhere in your directors or whatever. I booted them all out. That didn't go down well, but I booted them all out, and I put in people who would shore up the business, meaning that, because I'm not, I have 2 finance people who are on my board now. So basically, the board is a strong board. The board is a board that can hold me and accountable for every single thing that I'm doing. I have to answer to them. So with all of that, I'm ready for anything that could come, meaning that, let's say somebody came in and wanted to buy over promo print. I'm ready, because I've taken loans. I've paid back my loans.
Yes.
I have all my documentation. The monitoring and evaluation that I do, the M&E I do in promo print is, I don't think, second to none. I can tell you exactly what I use for every job, what I make, and so on and so forth. So with that, I have all my processes and all my ducks in a row, which means that if anybody wanted to come in, they would immediately be able to see. Not that I'm looking for people to buy, but sorry, but it's something that is a possibility.
Do you want some water?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
So I'm good for the years ahead.
For the long run.
Yeah.
Yes.
So at any point, if I wanted to take a line today, an overdraft or whatever it may be, get external equity, I'm good to go. So right now I haven't. I've just, I'm talking to certain people, and that will also improve promo print and take it to the next level again. But we haven't actually started with any private equity firms or anything like that. So my children are not part of this business because I want them to go on their own path. If they choose later on to come and learn about it, they've always done like holiday jobs. They understand about it here, but they're not going to come in and just run it because there's no way we're not going to do that whole thing, right?
But it happens, doesn't it? So many businesses that have come and they've gone, and they didn't necessarily have those structures, or it was just a case it was a family business. So it goes without saying that once mum and dad have decided to step down, the first son or the first daughter is going to step in and take it over, whoever the family member may be, and then those businesses haven't always done so well.
No, they haven't actually, because I mean, if we did a survey of how many of them survived, you would find that most of them have not. If it's easier to also have an outsider that you can hold accountable. Yes, I would hold my own kid accountable as well, but it probably cause some aggro.
Yes.
So let's be factual in whatever we're doing. If whoever is hired to do this job has to do the job, has to deliver and do what you're supposed to do and meet your KPIs and everything like that. So it better be somebody who is skilled. And the thing about business is that it doesn't matter where you come from. The things that you need to do to succeed in business are the same regardless of what business.
Yes.
It's the operations that are different. So you need an operations manager that understands about the operations, but your actual head and your strategy doesn't have to be somebody that understands so much about the skill. So the thing is just to push forward and to keep expanding and then cut off with no emotion the stuff that doesn't work. So for me, you have to choose what you love. Screen printing is my love. I love screen prints. I've always loved it. I know how to do it. It's my thing. And it's like flowers. What you focus on or whatever is what grows. So my screen print department, we started off with one guy and one spindly little machine. Now we have Ajike and we have 4 other manuals.
I need to go and see Ajike up close and personal.
We'll introduce you to her. And also a series of different screen printers who are all skilled in their own way. And everybody has their own skill set, and we're trying to improve and improve and improve. And another thing is that we have so many people, we do a lot of internships. So people on this road or anywhere around where we are, they bring their kids. So whenever it's holiday, they bring their kids.
Yes, we have a lot of that at the factory. It's a good thing because I think you're teaching them very early on a skill set.
Yes.
And I think as well, the benefits of the young minds is that they don't have so many bad habits.
Yes. So you teach them
you
from the get-go.
Yes.
And it's funny because, sometimes maybe I have like 2 or 3 guys who are out of work and I'll say, where's Wale or where's Ahmed down the road? I'm going to call him, that kind of thing. And, this is a skill also that they can actually produce T-shirts in their own homes. So everybody should have something that they can do if they get out of work. I mean, that's just another thing that I feel, you cannot, sometimes you lose a job and you're like, oh my God, oh, woe is me. Oh no, there's no, oh, woe is me. Go on to something else.
But we're good at that in Nigeria.
Yeah,
we can bend and mold to any circumstance, which is a fantastic thing. But let's move away from work a little bit. In terms of your downtime, I'm a very spiritually led person. So for me, it's balance, trying to get my balance, get my equilibrium, because I think when I'm mentally my best, I can deliver on the job, because entrepreneurship is not easy. And I think we've already touched on the fact that it's definitely not easy in this environment. And you need a little bit of extra something to keep you going. What's your extra something?
Well, I'm a very joyful person, meaning that I find joy in the littlest things. And to me, it's my biggest gift. So, and my most down times is when my joy is being reduced. And I'm like, I'm not having that. So I like the beach. I'm a beach bum. I like to go and just relax. I like to be in nature. I like to just sit and same thing. I can go with friends and have a good time as well. But I also really enjoy my own company. I like being by myself quite a bit. my children and my children are tired of me when it comes to going on adventurous things. I mean, we've climbed, we climbed Kilimanjaro. We got to the summit.
Wow.
And I always say that changed my life, because at every point you feel you cannot take another step because the air is so thin, and you do take that step. And then the next step, I can't take it. You do take that step. So that for me, and that's why I have a picture of Kilimanjaro of reaching the summit on my wall because of that, because you're walking above the clouds, right? And when you get to the top, you can only be there for 15 minutes. Otherwise, your body starts to shut down because of the lack.
I was going to ask as well, the lack of air.
So you know what? It takes 5 days to go up and 1 day to come down. The metaphors for life, right, are just too, there's so many. And for me, I found at that point, and I think even for my kids, they realize that nothing is impossible. Nothing is impossible. You just got to try.
What a great experience for building character.
Oh, definitely. So I like adventure. So I'm going hiking soon in Jos. So that's my Nigerian equivalent. So I do like weird things like that.
That's not weird. I think that's really inspiring. I never ever thought that I would hike in and climb in, Kilimanjaro be something on my bucket list, but I might consider it. And I'm looking at this picture of your family and it looks really inspirational.
Yes.
To do it how young was your youngest when you did that?
In fact, he was 10. The youngest age that can climb is 10. So when I think back, I think I must have been crazy. So he in particular, we got to base camp. We got to base camp and he couldn't take one more step. So we said, okay, he can stay at base camp. But you know what happened? In Everest, they will call them the Sherpas, but these are the guys that take you up. You need about 20 guys that go up with you. And they went off and they had a meeting and they said they would carry him to the summit because they said they didn't know anybody that young who had gotten that far. So he actually was carried to the summit while we all glared at him. Now,
my heart.
I know. So he made the summit. But I tell you something, that last day, it takes you 10 hours of nonstop climbing as you climb your sliding back, So what is entrepreneurship after that?
Well, it's definitely not Kilimanjaro, is it?
No, honestly.
But it's a great way to see life.
Yes.
In general.
Yes. And during that same time, I had an opportunity to do something. And I was going to do it with a partner. And at the last minute, after I had invested my money and done everything, my partner pulled out. And I remember thinking, I cried for 2 days just to think, oh God.
Are you sure it was just 2 days, Patricia? Tell us the truth.
No, it was 2 days. 2 days. No, I timed myself actually on these things. So I cried for 2 days thinking, oh, what am I going to do? Then I thought to myself, you know what? God would not have allowed me to get this far if he wanted me to leave it. And I was able to do it by myself. And this was the same period as that Kilimanjaro. And I think that was a stepping stone for me, because once I did that, this thing is about courage and is about your heart. Your heart is so strong.
The ability not to just stay down, but get up no matter what.
And once I did that, everything else seemed possible. You know what I mean? Because
not easy, but possible.
No, it's never easy.
Yes.
Anything that is worth having is never easy. If something is easy itself, you have to really look at it twice. So I've learned so many lessons along the years that even in the early days when things would go wrong and I would think, my goodness, why me, or why is it going wrong? It was to my benefit. It was, in the end, it ended up being to my benefit. So whether it was like, okay, I want this person to bring in money to this business and the person didn't bring in the money. My God, 10 years down the line, I found that if that person had brought in the money,
you'd have been stuck.
I would have been stuck, or I would have had issues. So I think trust the process. Trust what the universe throws at you.
I feel like this is where I am at.
Yes.
I've reached that point in my journey, in my growth now, that I'm learning that I've not always trusted the process. And there are moments where I need reminders. And it's always in hindsight, isn't it? And it's like in the moment something goes wrong and you're like, it's the end. It's the end. I'm not quitting, but this is the end of this chapter in terms of how we are doing this particular thing. And I'm very quick to go into panic mode, And I'm learning, I think literally probably in the last year and a half or so is when my learning began. You know what they say, when the student is ready, the teacher shows up or whatever. And I think that's been my story in the past year and a half, where things just keep happening, keep going on, which is the storyline of Nigeria, by the way, because it does feel like that. And immediately I'm just like, oh, woe me. Woe me. What do I do now? And it's like, wait, like you said, the partner leaves does not mean the opportunity has gone. That person has just stepped out.
Yeah, to make way for you.
To make way for you
yeah.
and another opportunity. And I find that message, I'm getting that lesson in every little thing. Even when someone disappoints me, when a staff lets me down, when a job doesn't quite work, or we've been prospecting for a client and then the last minute the client just ghosts you. I haven't done half the work. And it's like, and then another client comes, does double. Another staff member comes. Even the same staff member that disappoints you can still come back and be a saving grace in the situation. So I'm quickly learning, and I think sometimes we just need to quieten that voice.
Quieten down the doubts.
The doubt, the voice.
When I first started, when I was going to get my first office, and it was an office in Ikoyi, and I remember thinking to myself, I mean, how are you going to be able to pay for this place and all of that kind of stuff? And so I'm not even a Catholic, but I went to the Catholic church, and I said, God, your daughter.
Sometimes you're spiritually led.
Yeah. I said, God, your daughter doesn't hear well, or anything you want to tell me clearly. And this guy just got up in the middle of prayers. And of course, all the other people in the church was like, what's wrong with him? And on the back of his shirt, it said, "Fear, the killer of dreams." Ooh. I said, thank you. That was
pretty crisp. I got that.
And I went and I paid my check, and I never looked back. So at every point in my life, when I've been brave about something, I mean, I actually had an office in a military establishment at one point. Honestly, it was the best. Never had any problems. But it was all by trying. And you know what? Nothing ventured, nothing gained. The worst that somebody's going to say to you is no.
Yes.
So deal with it and move forward. So it's been an interesting time. And I believe that there's so much more that's going to happen. As things evolve in Nigeria, just be part of that story of it changing and evolving and improving. That's what we need to do. I mean, just don't be static. I think that the most scary part of my life was when maybe for about 2-3 years, nothing changed. I was like, heck no. No, this is
the
not
stagnancy was very uncomfortable.
Very uncomfortable. You have to be able to be. I rate myself on, at the end of your days, at least look back and say, yeah, you know what,
you didn't do too bad.
I didn't do too bad.
You did really well.
And it's not based on what other people think. It's based on what your own values are and what you think you should have improved on. And then surround yourself also with people who motivate you. And who you can be, you know what I mean, who help you along that journey.
Yes.
So when you're talking to your friends, it shouldn't just be, you can have some casual conversations, but have conversations that actually motivate you, inspire you, grow you.
Well, really feed your spirit, because sometimes I think the journey can be heartbreaking sometimes. It can be very lonely. So in the times where you do have time for people, because you're busy a lot of the time, those people should be people that can feed you spiritually. Even it doesn't necessarily have to be Christians or Muslims or religious per se, but they should be able to just feed you in a language that resonates with you, and you guys to talk about the things that are really burdening your heart. A lot of I think the first time we actually physically met was at Gaia, wasn't it?
Yes.
Which is our private women's club, and to be surrounded by like-minded women and like-minded people, it's so critical to the journey.
Yes.
Because I can definitely measure myself personally how much growth I've had in my business as an individual just by surrounding myself with the right people. just by being really, really intentional about it and putting myself in the places where I can feed and I can also in return give back to others, and we're guiding each other along and we're helping and we're at least speaking life into each other. It's not always about talking about gossip and what's going on the, you know, on the series that you're watching on Netflix, you know. It's how was your day? How do you feel that you've grown? You know, how can I help you? How can I remind you of how great you are sometimes? Because sometimes we forget, don't we? And I'm sure in your 20 years, there have been moments when you're just like, especially in that quiet period of 3 years that you felt was stagnant. Did you ever feel that, nothing is working, everything is just...
That was why I knew I had to make a change. I mean, to yourself, be true. You must know yourself. I find that especially here in Lagos, you can be very distracted by, there's so much stuff going around that you probably don't even think about, what is it I want? What is it that I'm trying to achieve? Or what is the level of expertise or quality or whatever it is that drives you? You know, and everybody has their skill sets. Everybody has what they're good at. What are you good at? What would you naturally, if they wake you up first thing in the morning, do? You know, so I find a lot of entrepreneurs also, sometimes they're not really thinking about what their natural gifts or skills are. You know, once you do that and you know what you would do for free and yet somebody gets to pay you. Oh, great.
It's a wrap from there, isn't it?
And then,
the sky's the limit.
The sky's the limit. And then nothing is, I mean, I run my dad's hospital. My dad's hospital is about 55 years old now. But what I've done for them is a totally different thing, because I know I cannot give them all my time, but I've set up an American style system where they have an administrator and then they have doctors, live-in doctors, because my dad actually had, in fact, I think that's my inspiration, because really he had, at the time when he set that up, the government hospitals were fine, but he obviously saw a niche and started. Now everywhere is private hospitals. And he was actually written about in the papers because they said, look, who is this small boy that came back from America and thinks that he's going to start a private hospital? Will never work. Well, as we can see now, it did. But like the doctor, a good doctor cannot be a good businessman to run a hospital. The skill set is different. So basically, if a doctor is very good at running a hospital, then he's not a very good doctor, is he? Because he doesn't have the empathy or the caring that he would have to. For a business person, it has to work. So I've separated them both. Both the administrator is different from the doctors, and they work together to make sure it works. And this is, my parents are gone 15 years, and it's still going strong. And once I stopped looking at it as something that could make me money, it became something that was such a thriving concern, because now, I mean, they have a neonatal ward. They're just going from strength to strength to strength. And setting up also, during this COVID time, setting up all the precautions and making sure that, you know, everything was done properly. So what I'm just trying to say is that this was something I'm not, I grew up in a medical family, but I'm not a medical person. And I'm able to run that in a different state. It's in Edo State. Yes. And my place in Lagos, and still survive and still, you know.
And still be effective.
I still smile and still have my own self and my own time.
Yes.
So I think let's know our limits, what you can improve, you improve and learn. There are so many ways that you can actually be more effective. You know, sometimes you don't need to be there all the time.
Yes.
But if you have people, choose the right people.
Put in systems in place that work.
The right people.
Yes.
With that, you know, there's hope.
There's hope.
But I want to just, it's always it's a work in progress. Always. It's never finished. So I think that sometimes people get tired and say, you know what, when will I succeed? Yes. Or when will I get to the promised land or finish whatever? You'll be dead by then.
Oh, no. It's the journey, not the destination, right?
It's the journey. And the journey is exciting.
Fantastic.
So being an entrepreneur is a special kind of person. But we're great, aren't we?
High five to that, Patricia. High five to that. And on that note, honestly, so do you have accountability partners?
Oh, definitely.
How many?
I have formally about 5.
Wow.
And informally, quite a few. In fact, sometimes when they call, I'm like, oh my God, what have I done now?
You're just sweating beans, right?
Yes,
just trickling down.
Yes. But I need people who can tell me the truth. I need people who actually just, And in fact, one of my accountability partners is one of my kids.
Oh, that's
enough,
interesting.
It's very interesting because I will not say, otherwise I will be castigated, but that particular person just keeps me in line. I mean, like, okay, have you paid your mortgage? Have you done this? What's happening here? What's happening there? Why haven't you done this? I'm like, okay.
Wonderful.
So I think we all need accountability partners.
So just an advice for just the young women or the young men who are watching this podcast and just wondering, okay, I'm about to embark onto my own journey and my own story, and it's scary. And I'm feeling like 20 years is a long time for someone to tell me they haven't quite arrived yet. And they're saying there actually is no arriving.
There's no arriving.
You're constantly going to be learning through that period, but you're going to get better and improve every single day. What would be your advice to that person listening in that is about to embark on theirs, about this extraordinary journey that we are currently on?
It's exciting. Sometimes, yes, you may feel that, okay, there are good days, there are bad days, but you are never going to be bored. You're going to be moving forward. It's like, I don't know, Star Trek.
That's an interesting analogy.
No, it's true. You're exploring new frontiers and it's up to you. That's why I'm saying that you have to be there. You have to know whether you are a career person or an entrepreneur. It's very difficult for people to move between both. Because what the skill set for one is not the same as for the other. So what I feel is that don't be afraid. Start. The universe conspires to make it happen when you start something. If you don't start something, you'll be like, shall I not? But once you take that step forward, it actually will work. And then when it doesn't work, first time or second time, maybe that's not for you. So the whole thing is about not giving up and just learning from your past mistakes. There's a stove hot burn or whatever, if you cannot keep on making the same mistakes and you expect a different outcome, so if you know that you did this for this particular venture and it didn't work out, why didn't it work out? First of all, sit back, analyze, project management, Lean Six Sigma, these are things that you need. Don't think that it's only for production that you need those kind of things. Sit there and examine yourself. Why is it that didn't work? Don't just say it didn't work. Why didn't it work? There's a thing called 5 whys in Lean Six Sigma. Why was this thing sown? Let me give an example. Why was this thing sown badly? It was sown badly because we didn't have a pattern. We didn't use the pattern. Why didn't we use the pattern? Because we don't have a pattern. Why didn't we have a pattern? Because we never bought the materials to cut the pattern. Whatever. By the time if you just take that first thing that you get, you will not know the reason why. And you will repeat the same thing the next day. So go do your 5 whys. By the time you get to your 5th why, you realize what the mistake you made in the first place, and you will correct it from here, and you will not have that problem again. So please never give up, but watch your figures. Your passion is not enough. Passion is not enough to get you through. I have passion for many things. That doesn't mean that I'm going to succeed at all of them. But get the knowledge to be able to do it properly. So if you're not good at finance, there's so many courses. I mean, now there's no excuse not to learn about something. Go and work in a place that you're interested in, that kind of thing. Learn from the ground up, and you'll find out whether you actually have that interest or not. And then when you have that, you'll be able to know what is it that makes your blood race. Some people, it's, the quick deal. Some people, it's about I'm going to get this, but entrepreneurship is a marathon. It's not a sprint.
Fantastic.
So you need to have the muscle,
the staying power,
and the liver, as they say.
The liver, the whole lot,
the whole works. To keep on that journey. But it's a very fulfilling one. I love it anyway. I may moan about it, but I love it.
But we do moan a lot, but we do love it, and we do make sure that no matter how many times you're crying yourself to sleep at night, haven't had a bad day, you always go back the following day. So guys, I hope you've really enjoyed this episode. I've definitely enjoyed my time with Patricia. Thank you so much. I've learned so many nuggets, and it's proof that you can literally manifest whatever you want. I manifested this entire interview, guys, this entire podcast over 3 years ago. And I know that whatever you want, you can also manifest it. Please make sure you just keep going. Never give up, like Patricia said. You know, it's not perfect, but it's doable. And I know that with time and with grace and with power and with consistency, you can achieve your dreams as well. Thank you so much for watching this episode, guys. I hope you've thoroughly enjoyed it as much as I have. And please take care of yourself and don't forget to be extraordinary in the way that only you can be. Bye, guys.